Like brother Bunny Honey D. I don't too much. Nah, I don't care what he do to the so-called white folks, but what he have to understand is that the so-called white man went around. They colonized everybody. You see what I'm saying? So he would probably justify the term of him doing what he does. He'll probably say, I don't see no color between race, creed, color, and all that type of stuff to justify the white supremacist talking points when he say things like, well, I don't see color. I don't give a damn what what race you are, African, you know what I'm saying? He'll go there, you know what I mean? In which most people, Uncle Toms and all those people, they'll they'll go there to do their talking points of white supremacists. So everything that Brother Bunny Honey D says and does, he has all of the so-called white supremacists uh, weapons. He got a taser, all that came from so-called white people. He has a gun. Then he'll say things like, "It's two places you gonna go: to the hospital or to the graveyard." How could you get on national TV before millions of people and say the hospital or the graveyard, and he all talking about Africa and all that type of stuff? I'm African due to the fact I'm African, and all the time I love y'all and all this stuff, blah blah. And all, you know what I'm saying? You clearly you got the job working for white supremacy. Clearly, all of that's white supremacy. Now, I would say he probably get this video and he probably be like, well, you know, everybody has a, a a mission just like I had one. It's my passion to do what I do. If you don't like what I do, then just don't cut it short. Don't watch it. That's what he'll say. He'll probably say that. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I would say, yeah, just overall, he uses. You know who Brother Bunny Honey D reminds me of? He reminds me of this character in biblical character in the Bible named the Apostle Paul. This man was he is an Israelite, but he was under Greek custom. He was under the Roman Empire customs. He was under white supremacy. You know, it was during biblical days, but during that time, it was they called the white supremacist talking points. Well, he showed it in his ways. That's why he was able to say, "He that convert the sinner from the error of his way," because the Apostle Paul can relate to being thing, doing thing, and being very passionate about it, but not realizing that a he was doing all of those things for the point of white supremacy. You see him in the dominant society. When he tell you anything that, let me tell y'all something. Before you think about being a so-called police officer, you got a badge, a gun, and all of that. All any of that thing that even if you say, well, I got my own business and I don't support at any point in time, no matter how bad he say he is a gangster, a G, and all this kind of stuff. At any point in time, the so-called white man can come through that and shut him down. If they wanted to, they can shut him down. Yes, because at the end of the day, if he got out of line, them so-called white people will let him know who, and they'll say, "Well, we're in control at the end of the day." But everything that he does is all white supremacy. Anything that involves, I don't care if you don't try to disassociate yourself and say, well, I don't see this and I don't see color. Yeah, all that's white supremacist talking points because they love it when you speak and you talk like that. You know, you say, well, I got my own, I'm a private investigator and all that kind of stuff. I don't care what the hell you say that you are. You still is supporting the points of white supremacists, the actions of white supremacy. Anything that involves putting people in handcuffs, all the shit is evolved toward the white race, the so-called white man, because that's what they do. So you can't sit up there and say you don't have affiliation with them. Anytime you have the power is to go there and take the power that you have, it comes from the so-called white people because they back you. If they don't do what you say, either like you said, graveyard, because you know, really white supremacy is backing you because there is no way in the world you can get on your camera and say something like that. Oh, you get on your camera and say something like that. But you couldn't go around and do a so-called white man, white woman like that. And you know, you really couldn't. Because at any point in time, like I said, they can shut shit down. You know why? Because they are the wicked of the earth and they control everything. They control it. I don't care how many so-called black people work on the so-called white man's police force. At the end of the day, they still control it. You don't control nothing. You just work for the system. They control that. You know? At the end of the day, the so-called white man, the white people control that. Anything that involves you having handcuffs, dressed up in a so-called white man police badge, all of that, you support white supremacy. I don't give a damn if you don't do no investigating work, police work. You just hired there to be a janitor in the so-called police department. You still, you part of the organization, and you just as guilty as the ones that actually who kill our people every day, brother. But yeah, like saying, I send you either two places: you go to the hospital or graveyard. You don't get on your camera and say nobody no shit like that if you represent your people and all that. Now he probably gonna also say I represent my people by catching the scammers and not wanting people to be scammed and all that type of stuff, protecting people from fraudness and all that. But you still tied in with white supremacy. It's still all because you have to understand they were the first. They are the only. They are the first colonizers and the main colonizers of this planet. They went around and raped and robbed and murdered and stripped off everybody else's resources. This is what the so-called white people, white man has done. You know. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna come back in the morning. I mean, to sometime tomorrow, today, sometime today. I mean, and we gonna chop this up. We're gonna talk a little bit more. I got some other. I'm gonna talk about it on my other channel. All right, I'm out.